they don't want free speech. That's an external threat.
Is an act of terrorism always a preamble to war?
He was actually buried alive. Twice.
How many of these planes are affected? Like, are they going to take down all the planes? Like, that's kind of like what was going through their head at the time.
Welcome to Our National Conversation, a podcast in which we discuss politics from all angles. We are completely nonpartisan, and all views, respectfully stated, are welcome here. Our podcast is unique in that it is hosted and run by students who are focused on finding solutions to the biggest problems facing America.
Hi, and welcome to the ONC podcast. I'm your host, Masie Zasadny from Our National Conversation. I'm the director of content. I'm here with Suzzy, Majumder, and Chandler, Lape. They're both interns here at ONC. Suzzy is one of our writers, and Chandler works in HR. He is also a firefighter, and Suzzy is an international student from India. So it's great to have you guys today. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me, Masie.
Thanks for having me.
Great. So today is September 15th. We're a little late filming a podcast about 9/11, but it's necessary given the gravity of the situation. We were just a little late because while we were filming, Chandler actually got a house call for a fire and had to go take care of that. So thank you for your help in your community, Chandler. It's really cool that you're a firefighter.
Definitely, thank you, Masie.
How did everything go?
It was a house fire. Thanks to our mutual aid departments, everything went as smooth as it could. It's always unfortunate when there's a house fire.
For sure.
Loss of property. Didn't get back till 1 a.m, so I ended up showering and then hitting the pillow. Had to get up that very next morning early, so yeah.
Yeah. So was everybody safe? So you said most of the property?
Yeah, everybody was safe. Yeah.
That's good. Good to hear. So today we're going to be talking about 9/11, which of course happened 24 years ago on September 11th. It was a terrorist attack against the Twin Towers and the Pentagon. It is said that more attacks were planned but weren't able to be carried out. So for the full details, a total of 4 planes were hijacked in 9/11, and it left 2,997 Americans dead. And to kind of put that number in perspective, I think it's crazy. Like, there are a lot of towns in the Midwest that have even less people than that. So think about like an entire Midwestern town being decimated in the attacks. That's how many people died. So that is not including the 19 terrorists who also passed away as a result. So I thought maybe to get started, we should talk a little about why this actually happened. Just to kind of give a brief overview, this wasn't just a random attack on America. This was sort of the result of build-up from the last couple of years, including there were 2 fatwas, and for those of you who don't know, a fatwa is kind of like a command given out by a Islamic leader to its people. It's kind of like a death threat to whoever he's issuing the fatwa on. One famous fatwa was against Salman Rushdie for writing this book called The Satanic Verses, and as a result somebody rushed the stage and ended up stabbing him. Like, fatwas are pretty serious. So, previous to 9/11, Osama bin Laden had issued 2 fatwas that involved Americans who support Israel, and he generally opposed the U.S.'s occupation of Saudi Arabia at the time. So that's kind of the situation that was happening. There were also, so in 1998, there were 2 attacks on the U.S. embassies in Kenya and Tanzania by Al-Qaeda. So Al-Qaeda had been kind of targeting the U.S. for a while, and on the other hand, the U.S. kind of was not waiting for a reason to go to war with Iran, but they were almost there already. So the 9/11 attack was kind of push over the edge, um, much like we're facing right now, actually, in our country, with the events of the past week. I mean, it's been really crazy. We've had that stabbing on the bus from Irina, the Ukrainian immigrant, who was horribly graphic. Of course, we've got the shooting of Charlie Kirk and the school shooting in Colorado, and most recently, the beheading of Chandramouli Nagamalaya. I think that's how you say his name. He owned a motel in Texas. This just happened a couple of days ago. And there's a video of him being chased out of his office by one of his employees, and he was graphically beheaded. And afterwards, this might be graphic to listeners, afterwards the killer kicked his head like a soccer ball. This happened in Texas, USA. So, we're facing a pretty politically strife time right now, just like when 9/11 happened. I mean, do you guys have any quick thoughts about this? Because I don't think we should spend a lot of time talking about it, but I think it's important to address it. It's really a terrible time in our country. A lot of people are either scared or, it's a very emotionally intense time. And at ONC, we send our regards to all affected, and just as humans, not making a political stance or anything, but as humans feeling empathy for other humans, and we do not condemn this political violence. So, Chandler, Suzzy, do you have any quick thoughts before we move on?
I do. So I think this is a reminder to just watch your surroundings, and as Americans, we need to be here for each other. We can't. To me, I think the whole terrorism ordeal should not be condoned. At the end of the day, I'm a big procrastinator on, like I said, just the whole watch your surroundings ordeal. 9/11, Charlie Kirk this past week, the hotel shooting. Unfortunately, this is what society has came to, where everybody is out for blood. And to me, it's just very unfortunate, but it's how society is nowadays. And I think the only way we can, build from yesterday's mistakes for tomorrow is just be there for each other, and that's that.
I think you're right. I think there are a lot of people who are feeling so emotionally tense, and emotions are running very high right now. Rightfully so. This week has been horrific. It's done a lot to a lot of people's stress
Definitely.
and mindsets. I don't think this should be normalized like it is, like you were saying, and we need to come together rather than further divide ourselves. And it can be very hard to want to make peace with people who disagree with you, but that's the reality. At the end of the day, we're all Americans.
And another thing, Masie, like, if I may,
yeah, sure.
I think we just need to be better than we were. I mean, who would ever thought to this day on that Charlie Kirk was going to pass?
Right.
Or, for example, the hotel shooting was going to transpire.
Yeah, the beheading, yeah.
Exactly. So the point I'm trying to make is we need to be better for tomorrow than we were yesterday.
Absolutely.
I mean, we need to be a stronger country rather than just going against each other.
Right. I mean, we do have these party labels, but at the end of the day, we're all humans.
Definitely.
Right? And I think honestly, in my humble opinion, I think a lot of people on social media do feel that this is a very crucial point for America to kind of either come together or tear itself apart. And I don't think the majority is celebrating the death. I do think it's very disturbing that people are. Outright celebrating is somebody's death is just, this is my personal opinion, not ONC's opinion, but celebrating somebody's death, anybody's death, especially when they were killed in front of their family and
in front of the entire world.
In front of the entire world, exactly. Like that day, I was working at Target and it was super busy. I work at Target. It was really busy, and every time I saw somebody look at their phone and have sort of like a reaction, like I knew exactly what they were looking at. And it's sort of like, it's weird timing. It happened the day before 9/11, and it feels like the 9/11 of our generation. And I think you guys were alive for it. I wasn't born yet.
I
My
wasn't.
husband was alive.
I was there, but I would say the 9/11 somehow at the end could not unite the whole US yet, and that's why it's happening, because people are divided into Israel and radical, like the left and the right, and they are not understanding what is the exact problem, and that's why people are divided on social media. Unfortunately, whatever you post and in the name of freedom of speech, they are celebrating the murder, you have said. I think that unity is needed to understand who are the external threats, who are trying to divide the US. 9/11 ultimately could not so far unite the country, and in the name of, you have seen that Palestinian protest and all these things, campuses, what happened there, and that's how the country is still somehow divided, and right wing, left wing, and somehow they are just radical in their opinions, and that's why it's happening. They are not understanding. Even after Charlie's death, Israel's prime minister, he actually said that's what the people want. The radical people, they want that to divide the US. They don't want free speech, and that's an external threat. There is a confusion created in the name of Ukraine, then Palestine, and ultimately people are not understanding anything, and they don't. Whereas the enemies are same against the US, against the Israel. It has to be understood.
So just to clarify what you were saying there, you're saying that they're kind of using it as like a divide and conquer tactic?
Yeah. In the name whenever... Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. You go for it.
Yeah, so I was saying that whenever there is an immigration issue, anything, so they will be talking about like human rights and all these things. When it's about the security, it comes first, right? But there will be human rights issues. Then the government is doing extreme, heartless. A lot of things are coming out. So as a result, there are a lot of confusions in this society. Mm-hmm. They don't understand what is called freedom. They don't understand what is called free speech. They can't respect the speech, and becoming somehow intolerant against the free speech, right?
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, I think there's a lot of truth to what you're saying. I think in order to have these rights, we need to be able to define them, and we need to be able to go back to what our country was founded on and what it was meant to be.
Yeah.
We all need to remember why America is here. With that, I think we should probably segue over to 9/11, but just, I guess for listeners, just know that this is a very heavy topic that's on all of our minds lately. It seems like in today's age, news and memes and pop culture, it sort of like only stays in our brains for like a couple hours or like a couple days at most. Like I remember when memes used to last like months, like the Harambe meme, bro, that like lasted forever. But now it's like our attention spans are so short. But I think this Charlie Kirk and this whole week, the shooting in Colorado, Irina especially, I mean that happened a whole week ago and we're still thinking about it. We're still reeling from it. I think it's very telling that this is still present in people's minds. People are still healing from it. I mean, we all got traumatized as a country watching that video. Um, so our thoughts at ONC are with everybody, and especially with the families of those affected by this week's events. Um, so I guess if we're gonna go back to 9/11. Yeah, so there were a lot of events leading up to 9/11, like the bombings I detailed, and the fatwas, which is a very serious thing over in the Middle East. Like a fatwa is huge. Um, so I think I want to ask though, like what it sort of reminds me of, like the whole Palestine and Israel thing. Like Israel's justification for what they're doing right now is based on the events of October 7th, right? The Hamas attacks and the hostages, right? But I think, like, I was talking to somebody about 9/11 the other day, and they were like, yeah, I don't know if we should justify going to war with Iran for the sake of 19 people. I mean, what do you guys think of that? Like, what do you think? What is the difference between war and terrorism? I guess to go back to Susie's question that she posed to me the other day, is an act of terrorism always a preamble to war, or is there a justification for going to war for the sake of these 19 people who uh, who did 9/11? And is the war in Israel and Palestine, is that justified for eradicating, I quote unquote, eradicating Hamas, like going to war with entire countries for the sake of a small group of people? What do you guys think about that?
This is just my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I think when two countries are battling against each other, so we're talking a large group of people out to kill each other, that is war. Okay? I think a terrorist attack is justified anywhere from, just say 20 to, I don't know, just say 100, 150 people. That's just my opinion.
Okay. So do you think it's always an event that leads up to war, or do you think there are times when countries say it's just an isolated attack?
I think a terrorist attack does lead to war. I mean, that's just my opinion.
Yeah, or at least like adds up,
Yes.
over time. That would make sense, because I mean, it's important to respect one another and try to connect with people. It's important to be kind to one another. But I guess taking from Dr. Cloud from the book Boundaries, just as people, it's important to also defend yourself. Like if somebody's continuously like attacking you, like you're not just gonna want to lay down and be friends with them. Which I think a lot of people get like the concept of forgiveness confused with having strong boundaries. And there's a lot to be said about that, but just like connecting it back to terror attacks, like I think that sort of like connects itself. Like if somebody's continuously just slandering you or like attacking your family, like you're not just gonna want to like lay down. You need to make it stop. So I guess it's a case by case basis, like where it kind of is justified. Susie, did you have thoughts for this?
Yeah, of course. I think terrorism has two types. First one is the if a terrorist group, they are called exactly like militant group, local. That's a different thing. But when it's about the terrorists, 9/11 attackers and the October 7, both are same. Both are same. So these are affecting somehow globally. Even in even in the Israeli attack, that means which was done by the Hamas, Americans also died. Even in 9/11, 362 foreigners died. So it's a global issue, and you have to understand who are the terrorists. They are under the not under the Muslim Brotherhood exactly, but they are somehow aligned with that. So Hamas, Al Qaeda, they were aligned and they were sheltered. Al Qaeda was sheltered by the Taliban. Now they are again back to power in the Afghanistan. So somehow it is linked, and there is no guarantee for the future that they are not going to attack. And after all, one thing which I have understood, I have seen a video recently where the people who were living beside Laden's home in Pakistan, they think Laden was a great man, and US is their sole enemy, Pakistanis. Okay, so how do you justify that? That's a very big issue. So Muslims in general, they are very good people. I have a lot of Muslim friends, but there is a group of radical Islamic leaders who are trying to mislead a group of people, their generation. So they should be targeted, and I don't know whether war can eliminate or not, but they should be eliminated. That's the thing.
Gotcha. Now that's really interesting. Did you say that Hamas and Pakistan are connected, or who did you say?
No, Hamas and Pakistan is not connected officially. You cannot say that, but that type of sympathy for the Hamas existed. I will give an example how I have been a ultra secular all the time, but when and I always advocate for my Muslim brothers sisters in India, where sometimes attacks happen on the like the minorities. So people like me for that from their community. But when US targeted the nuclear sites in Iran, I saw all the communist friends, including Hindus, Muslims, they all are against US. That time I realized secularism doesn't work all the time like that. It is so much confusing, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, I don't know whether you understood or not, but yeah, sympathy. And also recently there was a rally in the Kashmir in support of Hezbollah. From where Hezbollah came there? Hezbollah has no existence. So sympathy is being networked and circulated. And what I said about Pakistan, the people who were living beside Laden's home, they say that Laden is a great human. There is a video, I can send you the link.
Is it fairly recent?
Yeah, an American blogger just talk to them, and many of them, they don't know what is exactly 9/11, but they support Laden because they and some of them said, yes, I support him because he is a Muslim, he was a great human, he doesn't know anything about Laden also.
On these quiet streets, the world's most wanted man was killed. Or so we've been told.
No Bin Laden here.
No.
Osama bin, no yet.
Basically, I think he was working for America.
Osama kaisa lagta hai aapko?
He's a very great person, brother.
On May 2nd, 2011, President Obama announced that Navy SEALs had killed Osama bin Laden.
The United States has conducted an operation that killed Osama bin Laden, the leader of Al Qaeda.
The raid didn't take place in mountains on the Afghan border or in a cave, though. It took place in Abbottabad, one of Pakistan's nicest cities and just a mile from Pakistan's version of West Point.
So yeah, that's this is something like, ignorance which is being spread in the name of brotherhood and all. So that's unfortunate.
Gotcha. So you're saying they're just sort of, their thinking is more akin than we realize.
Yeah.
Like things are deeper
Yeah.
even than we realize. And this is still being perpetuated, this
And how can-
anti-American
Yeah.
ideology in
Right.
the name of Osama bin Laden. I didn't know that he was such a prominent figure over there.
He became prominent because he was living in Pakistan, nobody knew. It was US who had eliminated him by going there.
Right, like during Obama.
And how could he live in Pakistan? It was the question, right? And he was living just few feet away from the their military headquarters, Pakistani army headquarters. It was also quite. So right now, what happened in Doha? People are questioning Israel, but the question should be asked to Doha. Why did they shelter those terrorist leaders in a 5-star hotel like this, right?
Okay. So Doha's the town that Israel just bombed, right?
Hamas leaders were only killed.
Hamas leaders did?
Yeah.
Okay. I hadn't heard about it yet, that's why I'm asking. So
Yeah,
just to
that's
clarify for listeners, I guess, what are the events surrounding Doha?
Doha actually recently Qatar has been a friend of Israel, and also like countries like USA. But what happened? Israel, without telling anyone, violating the international law and UN, they had attacked on Doha, where the Hamas leaders are residing. So when Israel was asked, Israel said that when US killed Laden going into Pakistan, nobody questioned. So we only killed the like the terrorist. Then why you are questioning us? So yeah, that's something going on regarding, and Israel has to answer in the UN for that.
Okay, so that's something that we should definitely be watching then, right?
Yeah. So these things are kind of.
So yeah. Wow, this is a lot more connected than people realize. I mean, this is global events like this have been happening forever, not just in 2001. But so where were you guys when 9/11 actually happened? Were you born yet, or what? I was not born yet.
I wasn't either.
I was very
like,
little.
almost born.
I was
almost there.
I was kid, but I was in I think school. It's not exactly school, but yeah, there were some teachers around, and they were talking about something happened in America, and then I saw something in TV, but then I forgot about that. Then when I grew up, I watched some like documentary, and it moved me. Whenever I go to any 9/11 site, even I am very lucky to be here, I feel so connected. I don't know why, but I feel so connected. I can't smile there. It's like something just happened right now. We have a duty for that. I feel like that. So that's why this topic just gives me so much of interest.
Like it's an event that like I wasn't even born yet, and Chandler wasn't even either, and it still left such a stamp on us. It's like embedded in the American identity now.
Yeah, by the way, President Trump in 2019, when he was in power, he announced that he killed Laden. Laden's son was eliminated. One of the sons. Everyone, each of his sons are not bad, but one of the sons, his name is Hamza. Yeah, no, I forgot his name, but he was eliminated. It's in the news. So he actually took oath to destroy US. You understand? So he was not alone. There are people.
Hamza bin Laden is one of Osama bin Laden's 11 sons, according to analysts. This is a picture of Hamza when he was about 10 years old, around the time of 9/11. He is now in his mid-20s. Now, in this audio message translated by the Site Intelligence Group, Hamza bin Laden calls President Obama, quote, the black chief of the criminal gang in the White House. He praises the Boston Marathon bombers, the Fort Hood shooter Nidal Hassan, and like ISIS has done so effectively, he calls for lone wolf attacks on the West. Quote, take the battlefield from Kabul, Baghdad, and Gaza to Washington, London, Paris, and Tel Aviv, and to take it to all the American, Jewish, and Western interests in the world. Now, analysts say this message is a crucial signal right now that al-Qaeda is grooming Osama bin Laden's son, a son he is believed to have been very close to take over a leadership role in the terror group. They say al-Qaeda really needs younger charismatic leaders to compete with ISIS and its leader, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. It is Baghdadi and ISIS who've been winning the recruiting war, Pamela, using social media and online videos so effectively. But analysts say it is believed that Hamza bin Laden could turn that tide, since the bin Laden family is so much better known than Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi is. In the words of our analyst Paul Cruikshank, the bin Ladens are still, quote, the first family of jihad.
Gotcha. Like it's generational. And it's still a threat. So yeah, I mean, do you guys think that we're observing 9/11 properly? Like how did you guys, like, in your schooling growing up, like, did you guys talk about 9/11?
So,
in your classes?
We did talk about 9/11. We pretty much went over such as, how many towers were attacked. Obviously the Twin Towers, and then the Pentagon out of DC, and then Shanksville. We did watch documentaries that, time-stamped the times of when the attacks were, but they weren't covered like they should have been. Like, for example, what Suzzy went over earlier. I'm only learning about this now. And as far as, new information that is coming out about 9/11, I keep on learning more and more in-depth information as time goes by around 9/11 time. It's kind of like they keep on leaking out new information that should have been covered, when 9/11 transpired.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. I think it's very suspicious that there is so much coming out nowadays that we clearly knew back then, but they're just for some reason not releasing that information. Probably because they didn't want to risk the U.S. being torn apart like it is right now. Because I think back then we still thought of each other as fellow Americans. And it wasn't an attack on a political party, it was an attack on America and the idea of America. They wanted us to be afraid. But yeah, it is very suspicious that there's still more information coming out about it. It reminds me of the assassination of JFK. We were told a certain thing, and now that a certain number of years have passed by, they're saying that there's so many other things that we didn't know about. But Chandler, you were talking about information that you're learning about as the years go on. What kind of information do you mean? What would you like to elaborate on that?
So, as far as new information goes, for example, Suzzy went over a little bit about Osama bin Laden. Obviously, I didn't really know about that much. That's pretty much it. Just the information of, Pakistan's leader. Other than that, it's just one information after the next, after, just watching, the documentaries. I know I watched a documentary on, where they had President Bush at the time. And
when he was reading to those kids, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. And I know, I was reading up on podcasts that involved firefighters from that day. This wasn't information that was leaked. When 9/11 transpired, this was information that was leaked up the last year that, for example, there was a firefighter from New York that was in the South Tower lobby. So it would have been the first tower, the World Trade Center. He was actually buried alive twice. So, for example, I don't mean to speak on behalf of that firefighter, but from what I read up on, he survived the collapse, and he survived the dust. So, he survived twice. And another thing that I learned, now obviously I understand this is kind of common sense, but there are firefighters that started dying up to 2020 because of cancer. Now obviously the cancer presumption in the fire service has grown rapidly. Lung cancer, pancreatic cancer, But firefighters are dying that survived of 9/11 because of cancer. And it's very unfortunate.
It is. I mean, were
And
they
that's-
not given like proper masks, or I guess how did that go down? Like as a firefighter, what do you think?
I think it was because of the dust and the smoke. I don't think it was because they were given. I mean, I think the equipment has something to do with it a little bit, just because if you look back, what firefighters were wearing back in the early 2000s compared to now. For example, like they were wearing hip boots and trench jackets, where in today's world, us firefighters are wearing jackets, we're wearing bunker pants, we're wearing, SCBA cylinders, with masks that give us good seals, that you can operate from anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes long, where back then, they weren't making cylinders that lasted you 45 minutes to an hour. I think it was a combination of everything.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really unfortunate. It's unfortunate that they probably were very afraid going in. I mean, I'm watching footage, as everybody does, during the week of 9/11, and nobody knew what was going on. Nobody knew when it was going to end. Nobody knew if it was the beginning of a war, which it ultimately was. Nobody knew if they were done attacking, if it was like an inside thing, if it was an accident, and then from accounts that people have sent me on social media, I called out on social media and asked for accounts about 9/11, and some people graciously gave me their stories. A lot of them thought it was a fluke or like an accident until they hit the second tower. Yeah. And then they knew it wasn't an accident, and then I think the terror really set in.
I do want to add just one more thing that I didn't realize, that I literally just learned up till now. So one of the other pieces of information that I did learn about 9/11 was the third attack was meant to hit the White House, not the Pentagon.
Absolutely.
So, with that
I think
being
it
said,
did hit the Pentagon, didn't it?
it did hit the Pentagon, but they were supposed to hit the White House, not the Pentagon.
Right. And there was a fourth one that was in
Shanksville.
Yeah, that was, I
like
think,
a
shut
field,
down.
right? It just the passengers.
Yeah, Shanksville.
It was in
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania.
Yep.
Yeah, the passengers were able to overtake the terrorists and crash.
That's where the attack ended, in Shanksville, Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was talking to one of my older friends. He's a dear friend of the family, and he's about 80 or so. But he was a businessman during that time, and he was at an airport during 9/11, and he was actually with somebody who was pretty he was like a president or like leader of some country, or the family friend he's an enigma, dude. He like is everywhere. I swear he's done everything. His name's Bill Sorensen, and he was a previous mayor of Bismarck, North Dakota. And he was telling me all about 9/11, because I'm just one of those people who will like ask like, where were you when this happened, or like what were things like when you were, I don't know, ever since I was young I've just had a journalistic instinct like you guys probably have, But anyway, it was sort of like, it felt like a grandpa telling their granddaughter about where they were when 9/11 happened, but he was talking to me about how he was with this friend and he was getting all these calls because nobody knew what exactly was going to happen. He was getting calls from all over the world. It wasn't just an American thing. And they landed every plane, basically. Like, they didn't know how many like, I mean, you think about it, they've got a grid of, like, all the planes that are up in the air. And think about, like, how much of a struggle and how stressful it would be if you just, like, there was even one plane up there that you didn't know about, or, like, that wasn't accounted for.
Yep.
Or, like, how many of these planes are affected. Like, are they going to take down all the planes? Like, that's kind of, like, what was going through their head at the time. So, I didn't know that part about it. Like, the amount of fear that just, like, crept into America was just really amazing.
True.
So the fact that you brought up that topic, I kind of did hear something about that, that any plane that was within the area that was unaccounted for, they were advised to literally shoot down.
Really?
Just because of the simple fact they did not know if that was a terrorist attack, another terrorist attack, or, but that, again, that's what I heard. I didn't read up on it. So, again, I would imagine that is the truth just because of the simple fact of, again, we're talking a plane that's unaccounted for, and you just don't know what that plane's intentions are. Because think about it. I mean, again, Suzzy, you were around during 9/11. Yeah. Again, you might have been young, you might have been in school, but when you have a terrorist attack like 9/11, and Masie, I'm sure you can reiterate, as a journalist content, I mean, you would have to, I mean, there would have to be a restriction. I mean, no planes up in the air, like, just hold everybody in place.
I'm just, I just looked it up to try to fact check it. Yeah, there was
I think the airspace, yeah.
Wow. By Dick Cheney. Okay. Oh, I tried to figure it out, but it's behind a paywall. But I guess, Dick Cheney did, put out a statement saying to shoot them down if they were suspected to be hijacked, even though there were American citizens on board. Wow. That's the gravity of the situation, guys.
Okay.
And you know something? It's a shame. It really is. Because what it comes down to is, what if they weren't terrorists? What if, like you said, Masie, they were just innocent Americans just trying to get home or go wherever, you know, they needed to go, and due to a terrorist attack, more innocent people would have gotten killed.
Right.
And that's the very unfortunate part.
It is. And I think it's really important to remember that during this time, like, terror attacks, like, were not common like they are now. Shootings were not common like they were now. It's a horrible shame that these acts are so normalized now that we, like I was saying earlier, like, our attention spans are so short. Like, we barely bat an eye when a school is shot down, or, like, when terror attacks happen. It's really, really horrible. I never thought I would live in a world like this. I mean, right? Like, this is America, you know? Like, you never think that this is gonna happen. I mean, we grow up and we're told to stand up for what we believe in. We're told that we have all these rights. We're told that we live in the greatest country in the world. Yep. And this is the reality of the country that we live in. And I think it just, the last week has just really exemplified how divided we are, you know, and how worth it is to save this country, you know, because there's so many people there's so many people who like resonated with the events of the past week. And we just really need to do better, like you were saying earlier, Chandler. I mean, Susie, you still have family in India, right?
Yeah.
Did they have any thoughts about like the last week or so? Have you been in contact with them?
In my family, actually, is my father only, and yeah, I mean, they exactly don't know, but the man who was like beheaded, he's an Indian, so it's so much in news there, and the news, yeah, so the gun violence is on rise. They think like that. So USA is becoming less safer. So the outside world also think like this right now regarding the US. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a worldwide culture shock, I guess. Like
Yeah.
America also had a reputation outside of U.S. borders. So I guess Susie, what was a big reason? I'm just thinking about like your connection to the U.S. and you're an immigrant here. You came here to study. What was a big reason for you to come over here? Like, I know you still have family over there, so I'm sure that's really hard.
Because studying in the USA is considered as the best destination for work, for everything, technology. So it's China and all these countries, either they have the technology but they don't have the like democracy. Especially for a woman, when I see in India we don't enjoy that type of freedom regarding anything, speech, our dressing, anything. But in the US, everyone is friendly. And what I thought, it's just like better than that. People are welcoming. I just love this country. Really, in all ways, that's great. And yeah, it has a reputation. Even though people will be criticizing, especially the like the commies, like the communists will be criticizing all these things. But people want to come here. That's the thing. Everyone wants to visit the best place in the world, and it's the best place definitely. And that's how when I first applied for the US. If I didn't get in US, then I should have tried in UK. So yeah, these are the first world countries. So yeah, that is the thing. I think it has. I'll be very honest. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of truth to what you're saying. I mean, despite the division within our country, and despite our citizens saying that we're the worst country in the world, we're the worst of this, and this, there are still a lot of countries that look to us as a beacon. We are usually looked to as the country that, kind of gets involved with foreign conflict. We're the ones who are the leaders in a lot of industries.
Yeah.
We pride ourselves on our freedom. There are a lot of things that, like, international countries still look to us for, and I think that's kind of what I was trying to say earlier. Is like why are countries so worth saving, is because I feel like our own citizens don't realize sometimes like how like great America is, like not just in like the America is the best kind of way. I mean great like size wise and impact wise. Like try to imagine the world without America. Like we get. It's just why it's so worth it to come together after all of this and to try to save it. I mean, Chandler, do you have any? I see you over there. Do you have any thoughts to add?
I actually do. I think to elaborate to that statement, Masie, no matter how much we hate each other, and no matter how fragile the world is in America, just remember we are America. And one thing about this country is, we are a strong country, which means in order to be a strong country, we need to stand with each other. And I think one thing I've learned about this country with being a United States citizen is, like Masie said, we are a fairly big country. There's always opportunity for growth in America.
We're so young, also.
Definitely. So, with that being said, you know, there's so much for growth and opportunity in America, and we need to keep that going, but we can't keep that going without, you know, this reckless behavior that's been transpiring.
Also, I would like to add the way you have preserved the nature. It's unusual. It's in the Europe and also in the US. So that's great. Sometimes some people come and make a like dirty colony that I hate really. Some people, this is exactly called the invasion. You come to a country, learn the better things, and take it with you. That's a good thing. So yeah, I understand when and what Chandler has said, that be united. That's the best thing. That's the most urgent thing US should do, and they should not be spreading hatred on internet and all these things. That's how the invaders understand your weakness and all these things. So unity is the best thing I would suggest.
For sure. And I do think that is a very hallmark notion of America, is just, you know, we don't have our country split up into territories, you know, we're the 50 states, you know, we're America, and, you know, we don't really view ourselves usually as a fractured nation, and lately, it's just in the last 10 years, it's just gotten worse and worse, and it's like, I think, I don't mean to, like, make this a bigger topic, but I think our unity is the strongest suit that America has. Like, our founding fathers knew that, you know, and I think it was Abraham Lincoln, correct me if I'm wrong, he said, "United we stand, divided we fall."
Yeah.
And that has just really been on my mind lately. Like, that really is true. I mean, the easier we are to split up and divide, once we're all divided, we are so easy to conquer by outside countries, by our own government, by whoever you deem as a threat. And I think they have done a very great job at dividing us. I think leading up, like, the media, I think pop culture, you know, our popular figures that we look up to, if you look back on videos, like, they're constantly perpetuating some sort of, like, division or violence, like, oh, the left this, the right this, like, we're not just the left and the right, like, there is a moderate, and I think it's the majority are the moderate. I mean, what do you guys think? Like, do you think a lot of the majority are separated, or do you think the majority of America actually does have, like, this sort of middle ground?
I think they are neutral, middle ground. Yeah.
Because I think there are a lot of things that are, like, either yes or no, but there's a lot of, like, gray area. You know, I mean, Chandler, what do you think?
I think it's separated. I don't think there's any equality. I don't think there's any neutral site, you know, like happy medium. I just think it's kind of split.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are saying that social media has a lot to do with this. I mean, do you guys think so?
Social media is going
absolutely
crazy.
Like, I think so too. I mean, social media is, like, the one thing that, like, and, you know, phones and all that stuff, that's, like, the one thing that we have now that we didn't during 9/11. I mean, like, if you think about it, like, phones are, like, the closest boundary that we have as Americans, you know, and as people. Like, phones, like, once you give somebody a phone, they have access to the entire world. They have access to terrible news that is just hitting them and pinging their brain all the time. They have access to, you know, they could say whatever they want in the blink of an eye. They could access countless videos and countless takes on America and everything, which is great, you know, in some aspects, and then in other aspects you get really extremist people on both sides. And I do, maybe a social media detox is what we need right now. I don't know.
Right. That's a great thing, actually. But as a journalist, you can't do that.
I know, dude. As a journalist, it's really hard. I mean, Suzzy and I work in policy content here, so we're always in it. But I mean, even like the regular American is always attached to the news. But I've heard a lot of people this week say, "Oh, you guys need to like take a detox. You guys need to get offline. You guys need to stop being so connected to politics." But journalists right now have a really hard job. They are always like, it's basically like, it feels like it's being like, I don't know if you guys have seen Clockwork Orange, but there's a part where he's like, his eyes are being held open and he has to just watch all this horrific stuff. That's what being a journalist feels like right now. Like, it's really like a lot. Yeah, so before the show, Chandler was telling me about this program he's working on. It's called Business Ed, and he wants to target Pennsylvania schools. Right, Chandler? Do I have the details?
Yeah,
right?
so it'd be, so to kind of go more into depth with it, it would be a semester-long mandatory class for all 12th graders. That would cover, 5 modules. Again, management, financing, marketing, accounting, and budgeting.
Mm-hmm. And you have meetings with legislators pretty soon?
Yes, I do.
Cool. No, it's really good to know that somebody in our organization is, like actively working on something that is helping the next generation,
Right.
I just want to, my goal for this is not to get a medal by any means. I'm not one for medals. The type of person I am is, when an idea comes to my mind, as long as the idea is feasible, where I know it's not going to get shot down by others, in this case legislators, I like to pursue it rather sooner than later, because I think it could benefit tens of hundreds of thousands of Pennsylvanians.
And that's the attitude I think we need in all of our politicians. So, have you ever thought about running for
Definitely.
office? I'm being serious. I think we need more young voices like this who believe this and actually observe and see what we need.
Yeah. I really haven't thought about it. You aren't the first person that said this. I mean, as of right now, I'm just trying to, just take it all in. Just pursue one idea after the next.
Yeah.
Not saying I never will, but I think what it comes down to is, this isn't me campaigning for an office job.
You observe.
This is just me being me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is me being me, trying to, fix one issue after the next that we lack on,
Sounds like somebody I would vote for, Chandler, if I want to plant that seed.
Why, thank you, Masie.
Yeah, of
And
course.
I'll make you my first lady.
What? So I guess my last question, I would pose to the panel here is, what do you guys think we need to do to go forward? I mean, how do we conquer this massive division that is being perpetrated by many, many, many individuals, both high-ranking and civilians? I mean, it's literally like plaguing our country. It's the one thing I think could cause a civil war. I mean, there's a study out now that says 48% of I can link this later also. 48% of Americans now believe that in the next 10 years there could be a civil war, which is really scary. So what do you guys have for the future? Like, what do we do? How do we avoid this?
So I think we can do that. You can do that. Like organizations like ONC and the youngster influencers, not the politicians, and others can do that. Like youngsters, like ONC, like organizations, more writing about that and spreading more. Like a kind of without taking side of like Democrats, Republics, people have to come forward with the voice of unity, regardless their political identity, and I think that's the only way and the best way to do that.
I think that's very well said. I think your emphasis on the young voices is very true. I think the older generation has sort of had their say. People already kind of know what their alignments are, and even so, there's a genuine mistrust in America with the politicians that we already have. I don't think we should depose anything for now, or I don't think we should do anything irrational. But I think you're right in saying that young voices are incredibly valued at this time. So Chandler, do you have any thoughts? Like, how do we even fix this?
I think we just need to be wise with our words. Obviously, as both of you guys know, and the audience out there knows, we are being watched like a hawk. And with that being said, one wrong move, I mean, we could be at war.
Just to clarify, like who's watching us? Our government or other governments?
Just other countries, other leaders.
Yeah.
The general public. I am a big procrastinator on, again, going back to watching our surroundings. I mean, to this day on, I would have never thought that we would be having this conversation.
Same
here. And at the end of the day,
I didn't think it would.
So I think So the point I'm trying to make across here is, we just need to be wise with our words, and just, speak up if there's an issue, prevent the potholes from being bigger.
What do you mean?
That might lead to a war. And at the end of the day, we just need to look out for each other and be there for each other, because that's what America represents. We're united as one.
Right.
Which means we need to act like a country that is actually united.
Mm-hmm.
Not none of this, terrorism, these countries that all they are about is just war. I mean, we just need to be better.
I think so too. And I think my thoughts as of now, like after this podcast, is just we do have a two-party system. We do have two political parties prominently that people vote for, but the truth is we are just one America. I mean, we have 340 million people in this country, and instead of fractioning off the regions or the political divides, like we need to stand together. We have these two political parties, and they were created so that we could have different thoughts, and we could discuss, and we could debate, we could, new ideas would be born out of the mingling of Republicans and Democrats, to make our country stronger, not to divide it. And as of late, it's just been used as a division tactic. But I think tying this all back to the main point of the podcast, 9/11, it does remind me a lot of, I remember the day it happened, and it was the day before 9/11, right? And I just remember thinking, this is probably what they felt like on 9/11. So I do want to close with a story that somebody sent in from Louisiana, Ashby. She was telling me about her uncle, he's a fire captain in Shreveport, Louisiana, and he was at a golf tournament when 9/11 happened. So I'm just going to read you the message that she sent, and it's kind of inspirational. On the morning of September 11th, 2001, I was standing in a clubhouse getting ready to tee off for the 38th U.S.-Canadian Professional Firefighters Golf Tournament. I was among hundreds of firefighters from all over, including firefighters from NYC. There was even an NYC firefighter playing in our group who had a spouse that was a flight attendant who was scheduled to fly out that morning. To not only have a personal attachment to that event as a firefighter, but to listen to the NYC firefighters talk out loud in horror as they watched their brothers and sisters respond and later perish was something I'd never forget. I literally heard a group of NYC firefighters naming the guys who were at work that day on certain trucks that would normally be responding to the trade center. Shift so-and-so is on today, so that means firefighter John Smith, etc., are on truck 1. Since they shut down the airports, most everyone who traveled there could not travel home. Everyone voted to go ahead and play if we felt like it. Some did and some didn't. The next morning, still unable to travel, due to the planes being down and everything, we all met at the golf course once again. The entire group of firefighters gathered just outside the clubhouse to visit and continue to talk about the events from the day before. So this would have been September 12th. In the far distance, we began to hear bagpipes playing. Coming up over the hill, with the sun still behind the trees in the morning dew on the fairway, appeared a firefighter who was walking over the hills towards us playing the song Amazing Grace. There wasn't a dry eye in the group, and other than the music playing, there wasn't a single sound to be heard. What an amazing memory that was. I couldn't think of a better place to have been that morning. You're good, we can cut it out. I believe God put us all there for those few days to allow us to comfort one another. So when I was reading this, she sent this before this week. She sent this maybe 2 weeks ago. And I really didn't know how much we would need something like this week. So I guess in closing, I think the three of us would just like to say that to go forward, America just needs to unite. America, I know it will be hard. It will be extremely hard, especially when people are feeling targeted. On both sides, people are feeling, emotions are running very high. But in order for America to continue, we need to step back and realize that we're all humans. We need to comfort one another. We need to realize that these actions should not be normalized. So, I think on behalf of the three of us, we offer our comfort, and we'll be thinking about the country and how we go forward. So, thank you guys for listening. This has been ONC, and we will see you next week.
This podcast was brought to you by Our National Conversation, a place where students generate policy solutions to the biggest problems facing America. Join us in freeing political dialogue from hyperpartisanship. To learn more about what you heard today, check us out at ournationalconversation.org. You can also follow us on social media at Our National Conversation to show your support and keep up with our latest efforts.